Welcome to Everything Life and Financial Freedom. We are your hosts, Linda and Jim McKissack. If you know our story, you know that we went from over $600,000 in debt to having financial freedom. We share some of the insights and practical tips that we've learned over the last 30 years for achieving financial freedom, building wealth, and building an extraordinary life. Let's get started with today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Financial Freedom. I'm Linda McKissack.
And I'm Jim McKissack.
And we're with our dear friend, might be one of our longest friends, Tony DiCello.
Definitely
Tony?
One of my best.
He was probably our best find of all finds.
Yeah. There's a story in that.
There's definitely a story in that. But today, Jim and I are just average people. We did not wake up Bill Gates or Warren Buffett. We're just ordinary people who woke up one day and decided we wanted to have an extraordinary life. And so hopefully we're going to help each of you out there who want to have an extraordinary life. And one of the ways that we're doing that is we're finding and reaching out to people who have great stories and sharing with you their journey to creating financial freedom and extraordinary lives. So Tony, kind of start with just give us your journey, and at what point in your life did you understand it was important to create financial freedom, and what are some of the ways that you've done that?
Okay. Well, I found that when I first got into real estate, I got into property management in Madison, Wisconsin, and we were managing properties for people. And I'm going, well, this seems like a good way to make money, not managing them, but owning them. So I started thinking about that when I got an opportunity to go to Colorado and do a condo project in 1974. And I really got into real estate at that time in sales and managing. And so I just started buying houses. And again, sometimes I bought them by myself, and sometimes I bought them with a partner. And how I got into the partner idea is, I'd say, I was telling people I was looking for real estate, but if you got a real estate deal and you want a partner, I'm interested. So the first 2 or 3 transactions were partnership transactions where we bought houses together. We either fixed them up and flipped them or held them. And some of those houses we still have today, 30 years later. So we basically, and then when Diana and I got together, we started buying a lot of houses. We started looking for opportunities. We were both in real estate. So how many of those houses did you walk into going, this will never sell, the cat smell or the odors or the whole house in general, nobody would ever want to buy it except us. Yeah. We knew what to do with it. And so that was one of the things we did, is start looking for houses that people wanted to get out of and wanted to sell them somewhat at a discount. So we bought those, fixed them up, and again, we still have some of those houses in Colorado. So that's how we did it. And then just got on the journey of just looking for real estate that made sense. Then when I got into coaching, I would just tell all my clients, I'm looking to buy real estate. And so I started buying real estate in other states. And that all was done with partnerships, because I wasn't there and they were. But there I looked for, when you buy out of state, you're looking for 2 things. You're looking for a realtor that already owns real estate and would partner with you. Because if they're willing to put their money in, I'm willing to put my money in. If they own other real estate, I know they know what they're doing. And the other thing I found, that if I buy out of state, they got to know a great property manager. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than buying a great piece of real estate with a not so good property manager. Mm-hmm. And I never learned that the hard way, because I was in the property management business at one time, so I know the importance of having a great property manager. Mm-hmm. And so I started I bought some in South Carolina. I bought about 100 units with a guy. We had a 70% vacancy. We turned it We got it all rented up, and then we flipped it, and then we bought some other things with it in South Carolina. Then I started bumping into people I coached that owned real estate that didn't want to partner. And so then Diane and I started buying individual properties in groups. We own some we're in 4 or 5 places. We've done deals with you guys. We've done buildings with you guys.
Yep.
So I think the way to get into it is you got to let everybody know you're looking to get into the business.
Especially in this day and time, you got to spread that net wide.
Yeah. And it's interesting. One of the houses in Colorado that we still own, the guy I trained with, he said he'd like to get into a house. And I said, do you have any money? And he said, no. Well, I said, I'll make you a deal. We'll buy the house. You lease the house, make the mortgage payments, do all the maintenance, do everything. And I'll give you an opportunity to share in the equity when we sell it or when you decide you don't want to live there anymore. Well, he was a tenant for 16 years. So basically I had no vacancy in that house for 16 years. I had no maintenance expense for 16 years. And I had no mortgage payments for 16 years. He just moved out about a year and a half ago. The property gained $250,000 in equity, and I paid him $53,000 for his share. He was thrilled because he was able to go out and get into a house, and we picked up a lot of equity. So it's still a good deal for us.
Yeah.
We still own it, and we rented it, and now we're doing it again with one of our grandkids. We're buying a house together. We'll share in the equity. They get a little piece and we get a bigger piece. They stay in it. They make all the mortgage payments. They take care of all the maintenance.
That's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
That's one we haven't heard yet. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So I don't know. Somebody just mentioned one time that they were buying. Oh, I did that. A guy when I was in Colorado said, I bought a house with somebody and I gave him a little piece of the equity and they would stay there. And they made the mortgage payments, never had a problem. So I gave him a little bit of the equity and we both ended up getting ahead. So I thought, started looking for those. You don't find many people that want to do that, which to me is crazy because they have nothing to get in the game with today. We had the equity to get into the game. Well, I think a lot of people should be getting in that game, but it's kind of like I want to own a house. Well, you're probably never going to own a house. That's the way you live, and you're not going to be able to accumulate the wealth. The challenge of the real estate business today is if you don't get in real estate, you have no way of building an equity position.
Yeah.
So this gives them an opportunity to look at the equity position.
So Tony, what does your portfolio, yours and Diana's, look like today?
As far as what's in it?
As far as,
What's it made of?
Mostly single family houses. And then the buildings that you guys own in a building that, well, I think we own all the buildings together.
Well, we didn't get in on the one in Branson, Tony, because I have a bone to pick with you. You asked Jimmy, did he want to do it? And he didn't even ask me about it. So I have a bone.
So what you're saying is I need to call both of you?
Yes, definitely. Or
Okay.
at least me. I'll at least present him the offer before I say no.
Well, I'll tell you though, it may be a good thing and a bad thing,
Okay. All right.
It's had a few challenges along the way, as Jimmy knows.
Okay. Well, good. Well, maybe he made a good decision for us. That's awesome.
So right now we're mostly almost all in single family houses, and then some of the buildings that we own with market centers in them. And then right now we're just probably buying everything ourselves. We haven't partnered with many.
Are you carrying debt on those properties, Tony, or are you or are they free and clear?
I taught Financial Peace University for Ramsey a few times. And the first time I did it, I have all this nickel and dime debt. I need to get that paid off. And once we did that, then we said, well, let's just pay off our house. then we said, well, let's just pay off our properties. So other than those office buildings, everything we have is free and clear now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a nice place to be, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because, like you said, we've talked about it. It's a piggy bank. If you do need money, when they're free and clear, you just go, if you need a certain amount of money, you can put a 30 or 50 or 60% loan on it. It's still going to be paid off by somebody else, and you can use that money to multiply.
Yeah.
But, and then what we kind of look at is, we kind of know what we've made in the last, say, 15, 18 years. So our goal is to see if every dollar after taxes can add to the net worth. So if we make X number of dollars, then we'd like to have a net worth of X number of dollars, so that we want to feel that every dollar we've earned after taxes is working for us.
Right.
It's a great strategy.
Yeah.
Hello, thank you for listening to the Everything Life and Financial Freedom podcast. For transcripts, resources, and more, visit the episode page on the podcast website at everythinglifeandfinancialfreedom.com. You can also download our Freedom Number worksheet. This worksheet will help you determine the amount of passive income you need to generate each year to sustain the lifestyle you have or the lifestyle you want when you no longer wish to work or simply want the freedom of your time and your money.
So if you're someone that's sitting with a lot of money just sitting around the bank right now, the banks are starting to pay a little bit of money.
Yeah, they are, and they're afraid to lose you. So it's
a
really
little different situation. They need us now.
Yeah, yep. And to say, everybody here, if you've got money laying around, you need to go talk to your bank and see what you can get with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you guys just did recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, I gave Tony a big raise one day.
Yep. And I went to and went to everybody, and some of the banks will come to you, but most of them you have to go to them and talk to them.
And it's nothing bad to say that about banks or anything, because if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it. Right. So you got to go in there with a plan and stuff, and go ask for it.
Yeah. And it's a nice place to be after you've invested for a while, when you do have quite a bit of money. A lot of times people are just starting out and they don't have that, but over time, that's one of the benefits of the multiplication that happens in the compounding, is eventually it has such momentum that you have quite a bit of cash that you can go do things with.
Right.
So Tony, you and I are kind of in a little different situation as we're getting on up there in age. How do you think about investing today? Question. What's your mindset on investing today at your age and at my age?
And how's that changed from what you would have done before? Like before, we said, okay, we want to buy a property. It pay off by the time Jimmy's 60. It'll cash flow this much money. Is anything changed about your strategy now?
Oh, absolutely. For a while there, we didn't worry about cash flow. We just worried about getting in. Mm-hmm. And in the old days, when I was younger, I didn't feel bad about putting an 80% loan or a 90% loan on a property. Mm-hmm. Because I knew if I could put it on a 15-year loan, I'd still be in fairly good shape. Or even a 30-year loan, and then maybe make an extra payment or two. So right now, we're buying very little that's not with cash. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, everything was not with cash.
Right.
Because there wasn't any
somebody else's cash.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So it was, how do you get in with 80/10s? Mm-hmm. I had a lot of real estate we owned with 80% with a 10% HELOC attached to it up front. So you're only putting 10% down. But you got to be careful there, because a shift in the market could affect your cash flow. If rents go down, you got to be willing to have the cash flow or the ability to get money out of it. So, but I did probably 5 or 6 on 80/10s.
Yeah, and
80% with a 10% HELOC.
Yeah, and we've
kind of second mortgage.
We've always been a little more conservative and said, the 70-30 loan to value ratio is kind of more our comfort zone.
You know, at our age too, cash flow becomes more important, you
Yep.
know, and so being able to build that cash flow and stuff. Tony, for you, I kind of know a little bit about where you're at and everything. I know you don't have to work anymore if you don't want to work anymore, and you can do pretty much what you want to do.
Which is
And
fish.
you have to, you and Diana have a big enough life where y'all could live out your days and not ever have to do anything again. Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep investing?
Well, I guess keep investing because there's the opportunity out there.
You're
And
an opportunist.
the opportunity, you still have to go looking for them. I understand that. And I'm afraid not to do something with my brain.
Yeah.
I'm doing so many studies about the brain. I'm going, my brain is inactive. I just came from a funeral this morning, so it's fresh on my mind that you got to keep your brain alive and active. And it's interesting. Linda, you'll enjoy this one. You know what is one of the most devastating things for your brain in your car today?
The radio?
No, the GPS system.
Oh, really?
There's now classes that you can take to reactivate that part of your brain called maps.
Wow. Okay.
And compasses. And there's finding out that the GPS is these disintegrating parts of your brain because you don't have to use maps anymore. And so it's quite interesting that they have courses which you pay for to learn how to use a map and a compass.
Can you still even buy a map?
Yeah.
So Tony, your big why then is really shifted from, it was all about the money and everything in your younger days, and now you're investing to keep your mind active and to stay into the deal and the transaction and the whole part of it. That's cool.
Yeah. And same thing with, I don't coach anymore, but I have opportunities to talk to people in the market centers and help in those areas. And I have to keep my brain active. I've watched my mom live to 100, and she always had a reason to get up every day and do something.
Yeah. Dan Sullivan says people die when they lose their friends, their money, and their purpose.
Well, I'd put it in the other direction. If you lose your purpose, that's probably more devastating than your friends and family, because I'm just learning all the things that, like, I talked to a guy last night. I said, this is really interesting what's happening with AI. And he said, yep. And my psychologist that I work with says that's one more thing. You don't have to use your brain. And it's one more thing for you to have your brain deteriorate.
Is that like Chat GPT or something? I keep hearing
yes,
that
that's
in
exactly
chat groups.
Right.
I need to figure that out.
Yeah, when you don't have to think anymore, why do you need a brain? And if your brain shuts down, then basically you stop living.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I just think that we're constantly looking for something just to keep our brains active and talking to people and building relationships and that type of thing.
Yeah. And I think, you hit on a key point, and we just had our banker on one of our episodes, and he talked about, we were asking, what makes bankers it work for people to get their money from banks and stuff. He said, it's all about relationships. And, when we have thought about it too, really every great deal, pretty much most of the great deals have come through relationships, right? Absolutely. If you have enough relationships, you're gonna, and you tell the world that you're looking to buy stuff. Of the partnerships that you've done, Tony, why do you think most people, because a lot of people, if they're already investors, why is someone willing to take someone on as a partner? Is it because usually it's a big enough deal that they don't want to do by themselves?
I think it's more of, most of my partnerships were in properties in other places. And I wanted, if I was going to buy a property, an area in the beginning when I was unfamiliar with, I wanted them to have skin in the game. Don't sell me something where you take the commission and walk away and I get screwed in the deal.
Yeah.
So I
So was
wanted
it,
skin in the game.
so was it you asking them to be partners, or did they bring you a deal and they were willing to let you be a partner in it? How did that actually work?
I asked them to be a partner.
Okay.
If I buy it, would you buy with me?
So you said, look, I'm looking to invest. They found you a deal and you said, hey, would you invest with me? And that's a good checkpoint to see whether it's a good deal. No, I don't think I will. Okay, well, good. I don't think I'll buy it either.
Well, that was it. And some of them came to me and said, look, it was too big a deal. The one in South Carolina, there were 3 of us in it. We needed a third to have enough money to carry the ride out while we were remodeling and refilling the building.
What did those units, because we just had a deal across our table too. What did those units, those apartment units sell for per unit? Do you remember? Which were these? 275,000?
About 35,000.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, I don't think that.
Well, here's the thing though. I learned a lesson. It was on the ocean.
Wow.
Guess what happens when our things are on the ocean?
Yeah, they go down quick.
Hurricanes.
I had 5 air conditioners go out in 1 year.
Oh yeah, that's true. That salt water.
Yeah.
We have a house on the ocean, San Diego. We know what that
Yes,
salt
we
water.
do. Yes,
Yeah,
we do. And
Oh, that's right. You're our partner. I forgot you're our partner in that. That's so funny.
Tony, in all reality, we've been partners for years with real estate and different other things. And what do you think's made our partnership work?
absolute, positive, unyielding trust.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would say.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would have said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you call up and you go, we'd like to do this. And I'm going, why are you calling? Why don't you just do it? You know?
Because I like my partner to know.
Yeah, it's an important aspect of it. Just keeps checking the trust along the path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. That's a good point.
And I think trust is what really makes partnerships work or not work.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think we're at the point now in the whole world that trust makes a partnership work. Trust makes a market center work. Trust makes a business work.
Makes a marriage work.
Makes a marriage work. Because there is, right now the definition of trust is whatever you believe trust is trust. And I think partnerships, yeah, you're kind of getting together on your financial future. Yeah. And so you got to find people you not only trust, but if you look at the 6 geniuses of the new book with Lencioni, we're all moving in the same direction. And the humility of we're all both moving in the same direction, and we're willing to do whatever we need to do to make it happen. And I think that's another piece in that partnership is nobody can run around going, I'm better than you type of thing. It's humility on both sides. It's trust on both sides.
Yeah.
And
so
we never question anything, from our relationship. I don't trust it. I don't question anything. I know you guys are doing it for the best of everybody, including yourselves.
Yeah. And we've often said to people, a lot of the reasons we haven't had a lot of partners over the years is we would lay awake at night and worry about other people's money more than we would our own. And we just never wanted that responsibility.
Yep.
But, you guys, the Ubaldinis, we've had a few partnerships that have lasted forever for 30 plus years. And it's because of that trust. You're absolutely right. Yep. And we were friends and trust each other before we were partners.
Well, here's an interesting thing then. When you're looking for a partner, don't think about the real estate, think about the relationship and the trust in the relationship before you go looking for real estate together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true.
And we knew each other for quite a few years before we really started investing money together.
Yeah.
So we got to know each other and what our skills were and what our skills weren't and what our
integrity was.
Yeah.
And so I think, there's opportunities in the world of today, there's a lot of people in market centers that could be forming small groups and buying properties together.
Yeah, so true.
And there's opportunity. Now you got 3 or 4 people looking, and 3 or 4 people with different skills to manage it, to take care of it. Then you don't have to take the risk of going out and finding a property manager.
Yeah, and even a fourth of something is moving you forward. It's better than 0 of something. You know, you're at least moving in the right direction. Now, I know you've invested in businesses. You were one of the first people I ever knew of that sold their real estate practice as a business. You've invested in market centers. You've invested in, did you invest in the bank with us in Missouri? Did you do that too?
We're still.
Oh, we still.
Yep.
Okay, so you've invested
We're
in
the
banks.
bank. We're in
Like-
regions.
You're in regions, market centers, real estate, buildings. Is there anything else that I missed something?
We're in some technology companies too.
Okay. So of all the things that you've invested in, is there anything that's your favorite?
Real estate.
Real estate. Awesome. Well, as we wrap up,
Well,
Tony,
because here's one thing. Businesses have a certain amount of risk, even market centers and regions.
right.
There's one thing about real estate. It never stops going up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. May go down, but it's going to go back up.
But see, it's going to go down, and it's going to go up more than it went down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
true.
always ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So, and I like single family homes rather than multi units.
And what's cool about that, Tony, is you have historical data that proves that from early 1900s to now
Right.
on the real estate.
Yeah. So, what would be the last bit of advice you would give people about, because we know you were just like us, you were an ordinary person who decided you wanted to have an extraordinary life, and you've done that very well, you and Diana both. So what advice would you give people who are listening, who think they're like us, they're just average people, but they want an extraordinary life? What would you tell them? What would be your advice?
Start thinking of a way you can do it tomorrow.
Mm.
If that's finding a partner, if that's putting together a little group, the sooner you enter the game, the sooner you start the equity build. Or the sooner you get in the game, the sooner you start the game to play. You can't play real estate ownership if you don't own anything.
Yes.
So
So true.
just get in, figure out how you can do that. And if you have no money, go looking for people that got money and just say, look, I'll take care of your property for you. Just we'll share the equity. With the equity builds over the years, if you live in that house 5 years, you may have enough equity that you can go buy a house on your own. You know, don't overanalyze this stuff. Have a formula. You could read a book that I have that may give you some ideas on how to buy, how to buy and hold and manage real estate.
Yep. That would be a good thing for people to do.
So I think stop procrastinating and just go do it.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, we want to thank you for being on the podcast with us today. We really appreciate you.
Yep. Appreciate all your friendship, your trust, your partnership, and all the above. And remember,
Great.
if you have not hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and hit that button below. And the greatest compliment you can give us is to pass this podcast along to anyone that you know that is an ordinary person that's looking to build an extraordinary life. And you can find out more about us at everythinglifeandfinancialfreedom.com. So, Jimmy, I'll see you next time. And Tony, thanks again.
Thanks,
See you in
Tony.
a couple weeks, Jimmy.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening today. If you haven't already, please subscribe and share this podcast with others. The greatest compliment you can give us is to leave a 5-star review. And please feel free to reach out to us at info@lindamckisack.com. We would love to hear from you about any ideas, topics, or guests to include on our podcast. So see you next time.